Chelsea, Newcastle, Stamford Bridge. This wasn't just any regular game. This was a test of grit, strategy, and just how far Maresca's vision has come for Chelsea. The result? A hard-fought 2-1 victory for Chelsea that has every Chelsea fan buzzing about what's really brewing at Stamford Bridge. Now look, Chelsea fans have been on quite a journey with this team, from the struggles under Potter to the inconsistencies under Mauricio Pochettino. I mean, I could go on about the tough times Chelsea have had recently, but right now it's starting to feel like Enzo Maresca's blueprint for Chelsea is actually taking shape and looking pretty decent. And it's deeper than just tactics on paper. It's starting to feel real because it's actually on the pitch. So how has Chelsea turned this around, and what exactly has Enzo Maresca done to make Chelsea look like a force again? Well, that's what you guys haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we even get into this, I was someone that kind of doubted what Chelsea were doing. I thought Pochettino wasn't a bad manager and therefore shouldn't have been sacked by Chelsea. Also because Chelsea framed the hiring of Pochettino as a thing that's going to be a long-term solution rather than a short-term plan, yet they sack him after just one season. So I was very confused, and in the summer transfer window was just more chaos and signings and selling. It was hectic. So I was thinking that the Chelsea team is just too unstable. As good as players that they might have, they're just too unstable. But let's start with this identity shift under Enzo Maresca. Now, like I said, last season we were all watching Chelsea struggle game after game. Their rhythm was off, their consistency was lacking, and it honestly hurt to watch sometimes with just how inconsistent and how bad they would be. But fast forward to now, and Enzo Maresca has come in with a totally different approach than what Pochettino did. Maresca has high energy pressing, control of possession, and a fluid dynamic system that brings the best out of most of his players. Under Enzo Maresca, Chelsea are playing with a kind of purpose. I mean, they're moving the ball extremely quickly, and it's all about like finding space and creating numerical advantages where they can. Check this out. In Chelsea's first 7 league games alone, Chelsea completed over 3,500 passes. That's more passes than teams like Brighton and even Manchester United managed to struggle, who are both historically known for having quite possession-heavy styles. But how is Enzo Maresca doing it? Well, he's sending fullbacks like Cucurella and Gusto into midfield, creating overloads that let Caicedo sit deeper and control the game. It's kind of a bit like watching, I don't know, the old Arsenal when Zinchenko used to invert and allow Thomas Partey then to drop deeper with the centre-backs to build up. It's a bit like that. But instead of Zinchenko dropping in and Partey building up with Saliba and Gabriel, it's players like Kowal, Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo anchoring the build-up from the back to the front, making Chelsea be able to play a very controlled game but still be dangerous with so many numerical advantages, having inverted fullbacks. And the thing is though, Maresca's approach isn't just a one-size-fits-all. We've seen him adapt from game to game, like when Chelsea went man-to-man against Liverpool, proving they're not afraid to press high and take risks. Now obviously they lost that game and there was an incident that should have been given as a red card, but that showed that Chelsea and Maresca were willing to adapt even slightly tactically to their opposition. We're seeing a more dynamic Chelsea than we have seen in years. It's clear that they're finally building an identity that's not just on paper, it's actually translating onto the pitch. And the last time you could have said that about a Chelsea team was likely under Thomas Tuchel back when they won the Champions League with Havertz as their main striker. Now, the midfield, Maresca has transformed this area with some serious tactical shifts. Chelsea's midfield is more than just bodies in the middle like it was last season. I remember so many people clowning Caicedo, clowning Enzo Fernandez because last season they were just horrible. And even though Enzo Fernandez is still having his bumps in the road, Caicedo is really starting to look like a good player. By using the inverted fullbacks that Maresca is doing, it's allowing guys like Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez to just have a little more freedom, a little more space in the middle of the park, and allow them to kind of dictate the tempo slightly more because there is that more space. And it's clever because it creates an overload in the center, giving Chelsea complete control in the midfield a lot of the time. And like Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, they aren't really box-to-box players. I see especially Caicedo as a deeper line player, and by doing this, by allowing Malo Gusto and Cucurella, those types of guys to invert, it allows guys like Caicedo to actually have space when dropping deep and have his deep line role. Take for example the game against West Ham, right? Cucurella moves centrally, Caicedo finds space, and suddenly Jackson is receiving a perfectly timed ball for a clean finish. This setup is genius. Instead of just passing for possession's sake, Chelsea are passing with purpose, building attacks as a unit. This isn't the team that sits back or relies on just one playmaker. They're working as a collective, and it's starting to pay off big time with wins and consistency above everything. And now let's talk about two players who have really stepped up in my eyes, Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer. First, Nicholas Jackson. I mean, I said last season he is still a very good player, even though he does have his horrible misses in him. But Nicholas Jackson has gone beyond just being a goal scorer so far this season. He's becoming a complete forward under Enzo Maresca. In Nicholas Jackson's last 13 Premier League games, he's been directly involved in 13 goals. He's pressing, making smart runs, linking up with his teammates, and off the ball, he's relentless. It's the work rate that keeps Chelsea pressing high and keeps the opponents on the back foot, and he started to actually have some better, more consistent finishing. And then obviously there's Cole Palmer. I'm not going to have to go into too much depth. He is world class at the moment, arguably one of the best players in world football at the moment. I mean, he has been outstanding, scoring free kicks, scoring penalties, scoring bangers, you name it. Cole Palmer has been amazing. And although I always rated him as a player when he was playing for Man City, I'd be lying if I said at the time that I believe by October 2024, he'd arguably be one of the best players in world football. Cole Palmer has brought so much to this Chelsea team, tactically, in terms of goal scoring, in terms of output, in terms of leadership. He is undoubtedly one of the reasons why Chelsea are doing so well. I don't need to even talk about him more because everyone knows how good Cole Palmer has been for Chelsea. But when you look at Chelsea, to me, one of the biggest surprises to a lot of people this season, and to me it wasn't really because I even made a video about why I thought it would work, but it has been Jadon Sancho's role at Chelsea. After his struggles at Manchester United, he's now with Chelsea with a renewed sense of confidence and purpose. Playing on the left side of Chelsea's front three, he's made a real difference under Maresca with his simplified role, allowing him to focus on just chance creation and taking on defenders. Sancho is sharper, his movements are more decisive, and he's formed a strong partnership with Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson, and in just 5 Premier League matches, he's racked up 3 assists. He's back on track to eventually becoming the player we saw at Dortmund, and if he can keep this form up, which is obviously a big if, but if he can, he's going to be a key player for Chelsea this season. Now, let's talk back about this Newcastle game. It was a real test of character for the still very young Chelsea side. A gritty 2-1 win doesn't come easy against a team like Newcastle. We saw Jackson on the score sheet, Palmer working his magic, and even a disallowed goal that added to the tension. And remember that close call with Isaac? Chelsea's defense held strong. It was a massive display of character, and it's proof that the squad is developing grit along with their tactical skill. But let's not get too comfortable, right? Chelsea's upcoming fixtures against Manchester United at Old Trafford and Arsenal are going to really show the world where they are. Winning at Old Trafford would be a statement, especially with Man United's inconsistencies and now no Erik ten Hag. And hosting Arsenal, well, I mean, that's a test of its own. These games are going to be a challenge for Chelsea, not only Chelsea's tactics and Enzo Maresca's ability to adapt, but their mentality as well. So what does all of this mean for Chelsea moving forward? Under Maresca, we've seen a Chelsea team with a new identity, one that's defined by quick play, tactical flexibility, and resilience. This squad is a work in progress for sure, but the potential is huge, and what's cool to see for Chelsea fans is that it's not potential anymore. Stars like Palmer and Jackson are actually stepping up, and this team isn't just scraping by like last season. They're pushing for more, and they're showing consistency. The next few months could be game-changing for Chelsea. For those who doubted if Maresca was the right fit, serious force. Stamford Bridge is on the way to becoming a fortress again, and this may just be the beginning of it.